Thank you, friend. For what fortress, what city in the wide extent of the Roman Empire can hope to exist, secure and impregnable, if it is our pleasure that it should be erased from the earth? And it's not just that we should succeed, it's that everyone else has to fail horribly, preferably in front of their parents. These are the words of Attila the Hun, who led his army on a campaign that spread across the known world. They weren't guided by some misguided wanderlust. Rather, they were out to terrorize and pillage through every civilization that they set their eyes on. Often Attila the Hun is regarded as a great tactician and a leader. Today I want to talk to you about leadership and what I've learned about myself as a leader. Back in 2008, I became the team lead for the 3500 Mainline Zone 1. From the beginning, the group didn't really accept me. I was an outsider into this team. After a while, I started to realize that I didn't fit the model of what they expected to see as a leader. What they really wanted to see was a champion. Someone who would pick through and offload as many of their tasks as possible on the other groups around them, to their benefit and to everyone else's detriment. What they wanted was someone who would pursue their comfort above everything else, even above their productivity. And they wanted someone who would shout down any criticism against them. They also wanted someone who would stand there at the beginning of each day and say the right words to inspire them and to motivate them to go forward and do the job they were being paid to do. I'm not that guy. And while all of this was weighing on me, I happened to be at a bookstore one day, which is where I found Leadership Secrets of Attila the Hun. This book is a joke. It's obviously Attila the Hun never wrote a self-help guide on leadership. But the author of the book makes it very clear that he picked bits and pieces of Attila the Hun's life and his exploits, and then used them as an excuse to insert his own leadership advice. So I made a point of reading this book at work during my breaks in front of the team because it made me laugh. And what I found is that most of the recommendations that were coming out of this book, I was already doing. But as I began to learn about Attila the Hun and his history, I realized something. That's who they wanted. That's who they were looking for. They wanted that bloodthirsty pillager that could take from everyone else. I'm not that guy. I didn't see the rest of the facility as our enemies, free for us to take from. I saw us as one big team. So I began to learn about myself, to evaluate myself, and I found that I'm the kind of leader that sets the example and shows the rest of the team how to move forward. I'm the kind of leader that's patient with their team, and especially the new team members, walks them through their operations again and again and again until they're able to learn them and take off on their own. I'm the kind of team leader that would look through the team, observe everyone's workload each day, And if I saw somebody that had a heavy workload, I would sacrifice my own breaks and my own lunch to go forward and catch their work up in order to lighten the burden on them. Now, I wish I could say that after I had this revelation and after I read this book, that I changed, that I added to my toolkit of leadership abilities and became that inspiring leader that they were looking for. This is not that story. I couldn't set aside my sense of justice and my sense of our responsibility for the facility as a whole. And for that, ultimately, they could never forgive me. They never allowed me to bridge that gap that stood between us. Now, many of those people washed out and they're no longer Caterpillar employees. But by reading this book and by going through these experiences, it helped me to understand what kind of a leader I really am. And then thereafter, I was able to lean into my strengths and pursue helping my team.